Alright, imagine this. It's Friday afternoon. Your inbox is mostly cleared, your brain is halfway out the door, and you've got one thought on repeat. It's almost the weekend. 2 sacred days. A short window of freedom. A pause from the chaos. But have you ever stopped to ask, why? Why do we even have weekends? Why do most of the world's work schedules orbit around Saturday and Sunday? And how did we come to this cultural rhythm? 2 days on pause, 5 on grind? Because here's the thing, the weekend feels like a given, but it's not. It's the result of thousands of years of labor battles, religious traditions, economic shifts, and even factory smoke. So let's rewind. Ancient rhythms, rest was spiritual. Long before Google Calendars and PTO requests, ancient civilizations were already mapping out time. But their versions of rest weren't about brunches or lazy Sundays. They were deeply spiritual. Let's start with the Jewish Sabbath, one of the earliest institutionalized rest days in history. According to the Hebrew Bible, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. So the Sabbath, Saturday, became a day of reflection, worship, and critically non-work. No fields tilled. No goods sold. No labor done. This wasn't just about religion, it was revolutionary. In a time when most people worked from sunrise to sunset, 7 days a week, the idea of a full day off was radical. It gave dignity to labor. It recognized the human need to pause. Other religions echoed similar themes. In Islam, Friday, Jumu'ah, is the holiest day, a time for prayer, community, and slowing down. In Christianity, Sunday became the day of rest, linked to Jesus' resurrection. But here's the key, rest days were religious, not secular. They were designed for worship, not for sleeping in or watching Netflix. The modern weekend? That came later. Enter the Industrial Revolution. Fast forward to the 1800s. The world is shifting from fields to factories, from local markets to global economies. And people are working a lot. Think 14-hour shifts, 6 days a week, sometimes more. Sundays off weren't universal. They were just less bad. Conditions were brutal. And people started to push back. In the UK, workers' movements demanded shorter hours and better rest. In the US, the labor movement began gaining traction, calling for a half-day on Saturday in addition to Sunday off. Not because they wanted more time for religious reflection, but because people were exhausted. They wanted time for family, for sanity, for life. And guess who helped push the idea forward? Henry Ford. Yep, the car guy. In 1926, Ford shocked the corporate world by instituting a 5-day, 40-hour workweek for his factory workers. Not out of kindness, but because he realized something smart: people with more free time spend more money. Rest wasn't just humane, it was profitable. And just like that, the modern 2-day weekend began to take shape. Capitalism meets culture. The idea caught on quickly. By the mid-20th century, more and more companies started giving Saturday and Sunday off. Schools followed. Banks followed. Government offices followed. It became normal, but also deeply strategic. Because in capitalist economies, leisure drives consumption. 2 days off isn't just a break, it's a shopping window. A tourism window. A Netflix binge marathon. You're not just resting, you're buying. Think about it: weekend sales. Weekend brunches. Weekend getaways. The modern economy is structured around our predictable 2-day lull. It's not just for your mental health, it's for business. Not everyone rests the same way. But here's where it gets interesting. The 2-day weekend we know isn't universal. Different parts of the world approach rest differently. In predominantly Muslim countries, Fridays are often the designated day off, aligning with Jumu'ah prayers. Some countries adopt Friday through Saturday weekends, like Saudi Arabia used to, or Thursday through Friday. In recent years, countries like the UAE shifted to the Saturday through Sunday model to better sync with Western markets, showing how global business can shape even rest. In Japan, for decades, Saturdays were workdays until the 1980s. Even now, Japan is infamous for its work culture, with a word karoshi, meaning death by overwork. And in France? Well, they didn't just stop at weekends, they have some of the most generous vacation policies in the world. Paid leave? Protected. Work-life balance? Fiercely defended. So while weekends feel universal, they're anything but. They reflect culture, religion, economics, and yes, politics. The blurred weekend. Let's fast forward to now. What does the weekend look like today, in the age of remote work, side hustles, and constant connectivity? Truth is, the lines are blurring. Emails don't respect boundaries. Notifications don't clock out. Side hustles bleed into Saturdays. Freelancers juggle deadlines at coffee shops on Sundays. Even in 9-to-5 jobs, the pressure to stay connected makes it hard to fully unplug. The weekend is still symbolic, but it's no longer sacred. Instead of rest, many of us are trying to catch up. On chores. On errands. On life. Weekends have become productivity overflow bins rather than true pauses. And yet, we still crave them. We still count down to them. Because even if the lines are fuzzy, the idea of the weekend still holds power. It reminds us that we are not machines. That time isn't just for output, it's also for being. So, why do we celebrate the weekend? Because centuries ago, a few brave voices said, "This isn't sustainable." Because spiritual traditions taught us that rest is not laziness, it's sacred. Because industrialists discovered that tired workers don't build good empires, and well-rested workers are better consumers. Because somewhere along the way, we all agreed, life can't just be work. The weekend is a compromise. It's a cultural pause button. A collective breath. It may look different in different places. It may not be perfect. But it exists because humans have always needed time to reflect, recharge, and reclaim their hours. Even if we sometimes forget that between errands, school drop-offs, and Sunday scaries. Final thoughts. So the next time you feel that Friday buzz, take a second to remember, it wasn't always this way. People fought for this pause. Movements marched for it. Whole economies were redesigned to make space for it. And sure, maybe we don't always use it perfectly. But the weekend is still one of our most powerful collective habits. A global nod to the fact that we all need time off the clock. Because rest isn't a luxury. It's a right. And hey, if you found this deep dive into the surprising history of the weekend eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's always counting down to Friday. We've got more long-form explorations coming, unpacking the systems that shape our lives, the myths we live by, and the truths we tend to overlook. Stay curious. Stay kind. And I'll see you in the next one.